9:08, 8 past 9. I'd make it 52 minutes before the hour of 10 o'clock. Bruce and Dan's show. They're in for Don and Roma, and I'm Jake Hartford.
And I'm John Kass, and we're here.
For the next 2 hours.
And, you know, I was just stunned to hear what happened, to see what happened yesterday.
What was it? Was it 3-0 or 3-1?
You're talking about the Fire game. I love.
Oh, you're not talking about the Fire?
No.
No.
I through the magic of technology, I watched the tape of the debate and also listened to the pundits on the left shriek. It was like they sounded like baby seals on the Arctic ice floe. I mean, it was sad to hear it. It's the screaming, the caterwauling, the yelling. It's all Obama's fault, apparently.
Now you're talking about the debate.
Yeah, because I think that's the big news of the day, my friend.
Has Obama said he lost? He didn't say he lost the debate.
Well, he's probably going to. I think he's going to show up at a rally in Wisconsin to claim victory. Looks like there, or in Denver to claim victory.
Now, speaking of claiming victory, the mayor of Chicago yesterday claimed victory for him, or not. Did the mayor claim victory for him yesterday?
Okay, that's dead air. We don't like that.
Okay,
but you know what? The thing is,
moving on.
The thing is, Rahm Emanuel, or the Rahm father as we call him, really supports Barack Obama, and I think I feel sorry for all the supporters of Barack Obama today because I don't think they're feeling too good.
You know what?
Mr. Eye Candy didn't look pretty after.
I don't think he did that poorly. I'm with Roger Ebert on this because if Roger Ebert was so right about Despicable Me, how could he be so wrong about last night's debate?
You know what? Your logic is unassailable. Okay, I agree. Obama won. Not. Okay?
Well,
what does winning mean anyway? We're talking about the presidency.
I said yesterday that I wish when they go into these debates, both sides stipulate to a number of facts. So when they have this debate, you actually know what's true or not true right off the bat. And that's all they're talking about this morning, that, you know, the Obama people are saying, well, Romney made more factual errors than they did and stuff.
He made it up, yeah, like whining like little babies.
I watched the first 30 minutes. And I learned two things in that 30 minutes. Interesting things. Number one, that Jim Lehrer was dead, the moderator.
You sound like Chris Matthews.
No, he just, whatever. But number two was that Obama's grandmother was still alive. I didn't know that. And
that he loved his wife.
Yeah.
When you bring up your wife at the beginning, like, honey, I love you. In other words, guys, don't beat me up too much because I love my wife. That was weak. For most people who are undecided, right? I mean, the people who've been following this know who they're going to vote for.
Yeah.
For the undecided people, they're not going to. That stuff is a lot of the fiscal and financial stuff goes over their head.
But that was the problem yesterday. The first 30 minutes became very tedious with the $5 trillion. Yes, that's your plan. No, it's not my plan. Yes, it's your plan. No, it's not my plan.
You know what came through?
Back and forth.
You know what came through? That Romney eviscerated, slapped him, okay? This man, Obama, has not, he wouldn't make eye contact. He looked like he was cringing. If these were two guys getting out, running out of a bar to fight, you would pick Romney right away because the other guy just didn't. President Obama seemed extremely tired, preoccupied, maybe had other things on his mind, and he just didn't seem like he wanted to fight, and that was clear. So the undecided voters, they're looking who is going to be the alpha here, and in this sense, Romney was the alpha.
My wife, who doesn't follow the everyday news as much because she's got a business to run and stuff and a couple kids to raise, and she made the comment yesterday listening to the first half hour that a lot of what the president was saying was right out of campaign appearances. A lot of the the standard stuff you hear on the stump.
But was it Romney's as well?
Romney seemed a little more conversational. Like when he was talking about the numbers, he knew what the numbers meant.
He did that
how the different numbers would reflect and how they would, integrate in a plan or what, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he was his mind is extremely organized, which Obama's is about, like a rhapsody. It's about big music and beauty and soaring rhetoric. But in this context, Romney was 1, 2, 3. This plan, this plan, this plan. This idea, that one, 1, 2, 3.
But he knows
4,
how it works. It's like an engine. If you ask a good mechanic who knows cars about an engine, he'll tell you how it works and how everything fits together. This does this, and because of that, this works. That's how Romney came across last night.
You know what?
Obama came across like me when I was in school, where I would study real hard the night before and just kind of remember for the next 24 hours what I had to put down.
He, like where you have the panic.
Yeah. I remember. Right. I put the stuff in my brain in the
Treaty
temporary
of Westphalia.
folder.
Treaty of Westphalia.
Yeah, right, exactly. Right. Let's take a quick call here before we go to traffic. Robert on the Stevenson.
Hi. I just wanted to make a point about the debate last time. I don't think President Obama, through any of his debates, going back to Ellen Keyes here in Illinois, or any of the debates when he ran for president, has ever been verbally slapped by anybody, ever. And you know what? It reminded me of one of the lip singers. Once the music goes off, he had no teleprompter. He just didn't know what to do. He just looked lost.
Like what do you think? He was Barry Vanilla or whatever, Millie Vanilla, like that, or Ice or whatever that was.
Exactly, John. Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Yeah, I think Robert makes a good point. Look at, we'll go into this with the callers later on in the show, but has he ever been challenged before, verbally, one-on-one? I don't know. I've been watching this guy for
Well, he had the debate with Hillary
time.
when he was in the primary.
Yeah, but Hillary had, remember, Hillary had already been beaten up. They used the race card against Bill and Hillary. This was a Democratic primary. I'd like, hear what the listeners want to say about it. But that was a Democratic primary. This is different.
9:15. We'll get right back to your calls at 591-8900. It's time for traffic on 89 WLS. At 9:16, I want to remind you that the 89 WLS box office opens every Thursday, giving you a chance to win tickets to an upcoming show or event. Later today, we have your chance to win a pair of tickets to see the advanced screening of Argo this Monday at the Showplace Icon Theater in Chicago. For more details, go to WSAM.com. We are talking about the debate last night.
That's right, and President Eye Candy getting a beating, basically, according to me. But you, when you're channeling Roger Ebert, you think it was pretty even.
Well, I watched the first 30 minutes, then I switched over to South Beach Tow.
I knew it.
As I said I would. But then I would switch back during the commercial breaks, of which there were a lot.
Okay, so what's better, $1 trillion deficit or string bikinis in South Beach? I'm just asking. What was more compelling?
I think we know the answer to that. Greg in Brookfield. Good morning, Greg. You're on 89 WLS.
Hi, how you doing? I think last night's debate was pretty important in the effect that Romney came out and he came out slugging. And even though he gave the president a couple openings, like the increased spending on defense, I think what you really have to look for is a counterpunch by the Obama camp the second time around.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell you, I was never sold on Barack Obama as being in a great order like Cicero, and I was never sold on his great intellect. But I do believe he's dangerous, and he's going to come out in that second debate loaded for bear. Now, Romney's got to be able to finish him off in the second debate. He's got to be just as aggressive, and he's got to push the case. And the one thing I liked about Romney is that he showed that he was a little bit more aggressive. When Jim Lehrer wanted to stop at one point, he said, no, let me finish my point. He was direct and he was focused. And Barack Obama hasn't faced that before.
Did you find, Greg, that President Obama sort of seemed to go to Jim Lehrer for protection? Like, okay, isn't that enough? Didn't we talk on that enough? And Romney was kind of pushing Lehrer. It seemed like Obama was running up to Lehrer to protect him on stuff.
I don't know about that. I think I believe a little bit of a pre-debate hype that Barack Obama practiced and prepared, but then after a while he kind of just wanted to go through the first debate and get a feel for him. I think I hate to use the animal analogy, but I think he's going to be very difficult to beat because he's wounded now, and that Chicago camp, as well as you know, John and Jake, very dangerous camp, and they're going to come out hard, real hard.
Thank you, Greg. The best line of the night
was the one they didn't give about the Chicago way.
No.
He brings a knife, you bring a gun.
No,
like
was said by Michael Moore, and he's commenting on Obama's performance. He said, "This is what happens when you have John Kerry as your debate coach."
It's amazing how the left is blaming the messenger, not the message. They always do it.
Maybe it's like a racehorse sometimes isn't ready to run, or a fighter isn't ready to fight, or a football team.
No. They always blame
throws
the
a bad
idea.
team. Maybe it wasn't his night.
Maybe it wasn't, and maybe he had other things on his mind.
Anna in Chicago. Good morning, Anna. You're on 89 WLS.
Good morning, Jake. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Anna.
Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, we were listening to about the debates. It was a stellar night for Romney, and he not only was he good at what he said, but he also kind of pulled the curtain away from. We saw the real Barack Obama, glimpse of Barack Obama. If Jim Lear wouldn't keep covering it up, when Barack Obama faltered, I thought Romney and Lear were going to have the debate. It seemed like Barack Obama was not there at all, and I wonder, and John, maybe you can do the story on this, maybe he was thinking about the $10 million worth of marijuana that they got at 106 in Stony Island. How could they cover that up?
There's a reason it was planted near Stony Island, Anna.
Because they're all stoned,
the south
Anna.
side of Chicago,
Yes.
where Barack Obama never comes to say anything about the violence on the south side of Chicago. I think there's a story there somewhere. I remember when Stroger they burned $1 million worth of marijuana in the forest preserves, and Stroger then was $100 million short.
Oh, God.
Just think they could have sold it. Great call, Anna.
Well, they may eventually, that area, the 2-football long field area, may be known as Barack Obama Park.
No, remember.
Because wasn't he the head chum? Wasn't that in his book?
Oh, yeah.
He was chum.
No, chum.
Chum.
Chum gang.
I wouldn't
What
know.
does that mean? Is that what you say when you're doing the Harold and Kumar before you become president?
I
Awesome.
don't know. That's John Kass. I'm Jake Hartford. It's 9:21. Back after this on 89 WLS.
89 WLS. 89 WLS is everywhere you are. Connect with the WLS AM app on your smartphone. Listen live online and catch up on Newsmaker podcasts at WLSAM.com.
9:29.
John Kass, Jake Hartford, in for Bruce and Dan.
Don't forget, you wish to send a get well to Don Wade, you can just go to getwelldon@gmail.com, or you can just go to our website, WLSAM.com, and go on the link there and whatever.
And Don and Roma, if you're listening, man, I wish you guys were here because you would have so much fun with this. The deer in the headlights, President Britney Spears, kind of, that whole celebrity thing. Just get well soon. Come back.
Anyway, we're going to have Congressman Adam Kinzinger on for a few minutes coming up around 9:37. We're going to get back to more of your calls. A lot of people want to weigh in, and also there's some other stuff we're going to get to that's kind of related to the debate and what's going on. But right now, first, it's time for news, weather, traffic on 89 WLS. It's 9.
This is your Common Sense Election Headquarters, 89 WLS.
9:37. I want to remind you that so much happens while you're at work each day. Well, Rowan Roper wrap it all up with some big-name guests, news, traffic, and some laughs. Afternoons 2 to 6 on Chicago's Talk Leader 89 WLS. Jake Hartford, John Kass, in for Bruce and Dan. We're going to get right back to more of your calls, but checking in for a couple minutes from Congress, Congressman Adam Kinzinger. Good morning, Congressman.
Hey, fellas, what's going on?
Maybe the debate?
Yeah, I think that may be something that's out there.
Now, you were a former active Air Force pilot, and you still fly in the reserves. What did you make of the discussion last night about the defense budget?
Well, look, I think Mitt Romney had some very good points, which is, look, we've already taken some defense cuts. We all, I even voted for some defense cuts because I think it's okay for the Pentagon to get within their budgets sometimes and try to figure out where there's waste and inefficiency. But what's on the horizon are devastating defense cuts through a thing called sequester. And I think Mitt Romney was right to point it out. And I think the gist of it is this: is as much as Obama wants to blame Congress, that's an easy line. Congress is unpopular, and that's often may get you an applause or two. The fact is, he's the leader of the free world. He's the leader of the United States of America, and Congress and America looks to him to be a leader, and he hasn't been. So I think he did a good job in bringing that up. And the question is this: what's Barack Obama's plan? What has he said he's going to do to avoid these sequester cuts? The answer is nothing.
Why not cut some more? I mean, I don't think anybody would. This is John Kass. I don't think anybody would. I wouldn't be identified as a liberal congressman, but I see the Republicans always against the Democrats for social spending. When will the Republicans start cutting on their side of the, political?
Sure. A year ago, we'll start. We'll start that a year ago. We did that when we voted for the Budget Control Act. There was about $500 billion in cuts over 10 years to the United States military.
Is that enough?
Yeah. I mean, look, you have a military right now. You have a world that's on fire. With the impending defense cuts that are coming again under sequester, which was actually created to be so painful that it wouldn't happen. Unfortunately, it is. With the impending cuts that are coming, you're going to take our Navy back to what it was basically in World War I, one of the smallest ground forces we've had, and we're sending a message that we're retreating from the world. So, look, I don't know how much we can say that we're going to cut our side of the aisle. We've done that. Before it's time for the Democrats to come to the table and start putting things like how are we going to ensure that Medicare is going to be around for the long haul, but ensuring that it stays the same for current and near seniors. How about we actually have drug testing for welfare recipients? I mean, there's all kinds of stuff out there that Democrats have refused to move on.
Congressman, the other day we were talking about the story about over 1 million vets that served in Iraq and Afghanistan have come back, and they're tied up in paperwork at the VA, can't get their health benefits, yet the VA is spending, and down in the case of the Florida conference, $6 million for fun and games. I mean, isn't that the type of management? You can talk about all the big numbers and the budgets and the trillions and all that, but this is where you come down to people, and people are affected.
Sure, and you know what? And this is, again, where frankly, the administration has got to take some hits for it because they put the leadership of these organizations in there. And, the reality is this: that's a waste of money. To create a patent video, and I forget what the number was, but it was an ungodly amount of money so that you could laugh at this patent spoof, is a ridiculous waste of taxpayer dollars. It's happened on both sides of the aisle in the past, and I think instead of necessarily just finger-pointing, we need to now come together and say, okay, how are we going to take a budget that's $3.5 trillion a year, which is huge, and actually get in there and ensure that money is being spent efficiently and effectively. And that's where I think cuts, like what we did to the Defense Department, initially is good because it forces the Defense Department to go in and say, okay, now where do we need to cut this money from? What do we need to do? And they really can root out some waste and inefficiencies. I think it's a good start.
Congressman, as a combat pilot, I'd like you to assess how President Obama seemed to you physically, what was in his eyes when you saw him backing away from Romney. If you're going up in the air in combat, and you see a guy like that with you, what kind of feeling do you get?
Well, you'll debrief it at the end of the mission, and I'll tell you, the sense I got was it was a president that was not prepared to defend his record. I think he figured that the debate was going to be all about attacking Mitt Romney, and I think a lot of it was, but I think he was ill-prepared for Mitt Romney to make a vehement defense of his policies, and I think he did. I think he did it effectively. And, the other thing that really stood out to me is this president has not been challenged much in the past, and you saw a man that was very angry and agitated when Mitt Romney, and I think in many ways politely, would hit him on his record. I mean, I think Mitt Romney was frankly very polite compared to some of the things that have been said about him in the media and in television commercials about being a heartless, uncaring person. But I think he was very strong and effective. So, yeah, I do think President Obama left a little to be desired. But, look, next debate, he's going to be prepared. Right. He's going to come back fighting.
One last question before we let you go. In politics now, Jesse Jackson Jr., his wife said there's not going to be a switch. He's definitely going to be staying in Congress, running for Congress. And there's talk now that he wants to be the chairman of the Appropriations Committee. What's your thought of that?
I don't mean to laugh, but he's not going to be chairman of the Appropriations Committee. Brian Woodworth running against him. Look, there's going to be some other folks on the ballot. I'd say vote Republican in that district, even if you're a Democrat, because for him to show a lack of respect to not even come out and tell his district what's going on, and be very open and honest. I think it's time for the 2nd District of Illinois to move on, but that's just my opinion.
I will let you go. Thank you, Congressman.
You bet, guys. Enjoyed it. Take
care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Congressman Adam Kinzinger.
Yeah, that whole fighter pilot thing, he's up and, you see what I think that President Obama showed was that he didn't want to engage. And he just was, and that, I think, came clear to the undecided voters.
Maybe
now,
he was over-prepared. Maybe his staff over-prepared him. They did spend 3 days at that resort in Vegas, outside of Vegas, going over stuff.
When you want to prepare for an important event, that's where I would go, Vegas. Wouldn't you?
Yeah. Oh, one thing, just to before we break, I mentioned the story with the VA and the health benefits and the conference they had. One of the top officials did resign the other day, John Sepulveda, who was a political appointee, and that's somebody the president appointed. That's the president's eyes and ears in that department. Here's a guy who should have known better, who should have been watching his boss's back.
Where they were wasting so much money
over
on
$6 million, yeah.
Parties and stupid videos while soldiers can't get help.
944, we will get back to your calls, 591-8900. It's 944.
89 WLS. The biggest game in college football is this Saturday. Notre Dame versus Miami at the legendary Soldier Field. And we're there live starting at 4:30 p.m. from your home of the Fighting Irish, Chicago's talk leader, 89 WLS.
At 9:51, I want to remind you that Chicago's talk leader, 89 WLS, is on the air and on iHeartRadio. John Kass and Jake Hartford in for Bruce and Dan. John, should we take some more calls?
Yeah, we should, because but before we do, I just want to put this out, and I want to hear what the callers have to say. Throughout his career, he's never really been challenged this way. There have been other candidates that ran against him for the Senate that fell away, that were destroyed. Alan Keyes was nobody. Hillary Clinton had her hands tied behind her back because they were playing the race card on her. And now Romney. And what you're seeing is, if Romney can do this to him, what will Putin do to him? Okay?
I think you're just overreaching there. Hal in Southwest Chicago. Hey, Hal.
Hi. I'm a veteran of World War II. I'm a Democrat from the time of Truman, and I was never an Obama fan. I felt he was a product of David Axelrod. What we saw on TV last night was a man and a boy. If I were the enemy and I were watching the program, I would be more afraid of Romney than I would be as a commander-in-chief in the future of what we saw presented to us.
I don't want Jake to accuse you of overreaching, but I would say that there was something about the physical nature of the two where it just didn't look like he wanted a challenge. And if you recall history, when Khrushchev saw that in Kennedy, within weeks there was the Cuban Missile Crisis.
One bad debate and it's all over. I doubt it.
No, it's not all over.
Well, that's what you're making it sound like, John.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying it's all over. I still think that Obama will win this election. I haven't changed that from the beginning. But I'm telling you that all this stuff goes into calculations with people.
9:54, back after this on 89 WLS.
89 WLS. An ABC News update is just minutes away. 89 WLS. And online at WLSAM.com.
9:58, John Kass, Jake Hartford in for Bruce and Dan. We're going to take more of your calls right after the news at the top of the hour. When I said overreaching, I know a lot of people they're excited. They think Romney's going to win now because of the debate, and it's just one little moment in time.
Yes, and when you said I was overreaching, I didn't take that personally.
It sounded like you did.
Why would I? What I do think though is that what people saw who are undecided. Well, undecideds aren't into the minutia. They're not into the fine points of the policy. What they're looking for is somebody to show them who wants to be president. And the president, in that sense of a dramatic presence, was unprepared.
Well, he has 2 more debates.
Oh yeah, and you saw
people will remember the last thing they saw.
And Reagan, remember Reagan lost lost his first debate and came back really strong, and President Obama is good at it.
We're coming back strong. We got 1 more hour to go. Also, in the next hour, we're going to have pollster Doug Schoen on. That's going to be at 10:37. But before that, we're going to take your calls at 591-8900. John Kass, Jake Hartford, in for Bruce and Dan right here on 89 WLS.